show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
From the gridiron to the ball diamonds, from the hardwood to the ice rinks, from the fairways to the octagon and everywhere in between. If it makes headlines, it's fair game on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. And we welcome you to a very special presentation of this week's episode of the Sports Reel podcast. Along with Tim Sheridan, I am Jason Clouse. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. And we decided to do this as a live stream because of everything that's happening in very real time, especially here in the state of Michigan. Tim, there is such a fevered pitch around our sports teams right now, and we are just, an hour or two removed from the Detroit Tigers eliminating the Houston Astros and advancing to the ALDS in a showdown with the Cleveland Indians. Before we look at that series, I'm sorry, the Guardians, my bad. But before we get there, the Houston Astros, and we said this last week because we weren't really sure how the brackets were going to work themselves out when we recorded the last episode. And I had said, wouldn't that be something if it wound up being a Detroit-Houston ALCS, for all the backstory and the storylines that could come out of this thing with AJ Hinch and Justin Verlander and all the history between the two teams. Well, what as luck would have it, much to my dismay, they wound up getting them in the first round of this thing. And I'm like, man, this is not what I wanted. But if they can eliminate the Houston Astros, that is a huge hurdle out of the way in their trek, hopefully, to get to some baseball here in the month of November.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, absolutely exciting week to be a fan of Detroit sports. Let's put it that way. Like, it's been an awesome week. And the Tigers still hot. You were talking about them in Houston. I mean, it would have been like a fairy tale thing for them to face them in the ALCS, but to get them, in the wild card round and to knock them out that quick. I mean, it was a complete sweep. Exciting game today. I didn't get to watch yesterday's game. I was close to 20 feet in a tree out in the monsoon. So I couldn't really pull up my phone and watch it, but today's game was super exciting, a blast. I thought they were going to lose it there for a little bit. Gave up a couple runs, I think in the seventh. Was it the seventh there?
Yeah. Yep.
And then to come back in the eighth and drive 4 more runs in, they're so hot right now. Honestly, they keep playing this way. Who can stop them?
I was just going to make mention of that too, because I was sitting there watching this game. I had my laptop on my lap and I'm making the graphics for this show as we're going. I'm making best case scenario, worst case scenario. You know what I mean? I'm like, which way are we going with this? Because when the seventh inning came, and here's the other thing that scares me, especially about Houston, Tim, their crowd is a needle mover. When that crowd gets roaring, the Astros feed off that momentum so much that it becomes very difficult environment to win in, especially in the later innings. I think they threw a graphic up during the broadcast on ESPN. What happens, their win percentage was incredible leading into the seventh inning and later, where the vice versa, the Detroit Tigers have this incredible record of their win percentage, going into the seventh inning, losing and being able to come back. And that was the one thing about this team in this game here today. At no point did the Tigers hit the panic button. They came out for the eighth inning, calm, cool, poised. And I'm like, wow. Like I was expecting heads down and looks of panic on their face, and we have not seen that with this team. And what's remarkable, from my perspective, is a lot of these players are so young, dude. They don't have this kind of experience, but they're rolling out there like they've been doing this for a minute, and that makes all the difference in the world. The other sidebar to this is AJ Hinch. How much pressure was on his shoulders coming back to Houston in this environment after leading the team to the World Series amidst a bunch of controversy. He comes in here as the manager of the Detroit Tigers and eliminates his former team. You got to believe from his perspective, that's got to be a huge weight off his shoulders. Wouldn't you imagine?
Oh, I imagine 100%. You want to come out and I think any coach, any player that comes out to face their former team, they want to do the best they can and win it to prove that, maybe they were the reason that they were winning then. Who know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But, he played a hell of a game against them, especially today. Um, 7 different pitchers in the game today. Like
Right.
nobody got 2 looks at the same pitcher. Like that was genius. Nobody got time to get used to a pitcher to see what they're throwing to kind of like feel them out. And it was just constant change. Absolute awesome game plan that they put out today, and it worked. But yeah, I think 100%. There's got to be a weight on his shoulder to come out here and you know beat the former team that he coached, and he did it, and he did it in 2 games. Didn't need the third.
And thank God for that, because
I
we
know.
just sat here. We talked about it last week. We just got done talking about it here. Momentum is a very real thing, and the Detroit Tigers are firing on all cylinders right now. Just when they
Yeah.
think, just when you think there's nothing left, and okay, we're going to have to try this again tomorrow. They're not waiting for tomorrow. They want this shit done here and now. And what a
Yeah.
definitive statement to roll into Houston, eliminate them in 2 straight games. Now it's on to Cleveland, and you look at the remaining teams on the American League side. We're going to throw a graphic up here. You look at the Kansas City and Baltimore. Both of those teams are very dangerous. Because the winner of that awaits or they are going to go to New York to play the Yankees. Now, this is the other team that I was really worried about, Tim, is the New York Yankees. But history has shown that Detroit seemingly has New York's number in these types of situations. I would feel like at this point, um, if I'm rolling the dice on this, I'm going to predict we're going to see a Baltimore Yankees ALDS on that side. And I don't know, man. The New York Yankees may be the odds-on favorite, but I kind of feel like we're not going to see them in the ALCS. I feel like whoever comes out of Kansas City and Baltimore is going to have New York's number. New York has been sitting, they've been resting, and that traditionally has not always worked out in their favor.
No, you need to stay hot and stay on a run. And that's why I think the Tigers are in such a good position right now. It's because they've been hot and they don't let anything slow them down. And right now, I think the last time I looked at the score of the Baltimore Kansas City game, it is currently 1-1. I'll let you know an update here in a second. I got it on the TV behind me, but
Okay.
um, yeah, I don't know. Both those teams are dangerous, and it could be most likely by the end of the night, it could be a Baltimore New York Yankees thing. And if it was me personally, if the Tigers had to go up against either one of them, I'd like to see them go against Baltimore. We just beat them in a series. We swept them in a series just recently.
Right.
And I don't think there's honestly, but does it matter? Tigers are so hot right now. Who can stop them? As long as they keep playing. And I think the thing is they 2 months ago they weren't even supposed to be here. They had like a what they say a less than 2% chance to even make the postseason,
Yeah.
and they just won their first series. So when you're that hot, just keep it rolling 100 miles an hour and just just have fun with it, and I think that's the way they're playing is they're having fun with it because they're not supposed to be here right now. So even if they lose, they just did something incredible either way. So why not just have fun and just keep rolling?
Totally agree. And now that Houston is in the rear view, we now focus on the Cleveland Guardians. And game one of the ALDS takes place on Saturday. Games one and two will be in Cleveland. Game three will be Wednesday night in Detroit. Game four also in Detroit if necessary. Um, you gotta believe, man. Right now, the hottest ticket in town is going to be the Detroit Tigers and the Guardians on Wednesday night. Man, the atmosphere at Comerica Park is going to be off the charts. This is we. It's been 10 years since the Tigers have advanced into postseason baseball, and the city of Detroit is ready for it. And Cleveland, I don't think is going to be.
No, and I think with the fans there, that's going to make a big difference. I know the last series with the White Sox, they were packing that place out, so the fans have just come out and got 100% behind the Tigers.
Hmm.
So I mean, that place was we were watching over 40,000 people each night that they were there. And I imagine it's going to be completely sold out Wednesday night. It's going to be definitely the hottest ticket in town, and I think hopefully by then that might be the game to finish off the series right there, and there's a good chance it could be. And that would be just an awesome thing for the city right there if they could finish that series off in Detroit on Wednesday night.
I'm going on to this app, Game Time app. I don't know if you're familiar with it. They're like a ticket broker and actually
Oh,
an
okay.
official partner of the of Major League Baseball. I'm looking at the Tigers tickets right now for Wednesday night's game. The cheapest price right now, Tim, is $128 just to get into the stadium.
Well, that's a stark contrast to what they were just a few months ago. I mean, they were giving tickets away. We got offered, we get because we bet in the games last year, and once we went there, they keep on calling us and offering us tickets and stuff like that. So to watch them go up to $120, and they're going to pack that place out at 120,
Oh yeah.
So good for the team. It's going to finally start making some money this year. Um, you know, it's stark contrast because I think even 3 weeks ago, tickets were. My buddy went to one of the games. I think he paid $12 a ticket to sit in the outfield.
Yeah, there was the one afternoon, and this is what I like about this app is the closer you get to the start of the game or the concert, they dramatically reduce the prices. The other day, not the other day, it was a couple of weeks ago. I looked, I could have walked into one of their home games for $5. And I was like, what
Oh hell
the
yeah!
hell? But yeah, 128 for Wednesday's game, 108 for Thursday's game, if that needs to be a thing. So um, yeah, it's good to see that they're going to make money out of this too. But obviously, that's not important in the grand scheme of things from a fan perspective. Well, I guess it does. It kind of ties in because we want to get more players in here, right? You got to have
Yeah,
them
you
to
need
pay
players
for.
more money, and honestly, they probably have a pretty cheap roster running right now, so they probably don't need because they're all so young. You know, I don't even know what they're making on the team, but I can't. They don't have any big superstars. Scooble's still probably not making a lot. His next contract's going to be huge. Um, Like the benefit just won the AL Triple Crown this year.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's
Let's
not
make
something that
mention of
happens all
that
the
too.
time.
You know,
That
we Tarek Skubal, we knew he was on track to win the Triple Crown,
yeah,
and once it happened, is you just kind of sit back and you're like, we are witnessing history, but for some reason, Tim, I don't feel like it's getting the attention and the fanfare that Verlander got when he achieved the Triple Crown, and it
yeah,
it, it disappoints me for Skubal because he's been in a lot of aspects the glue that's held this team together in the worst time. He wins a Triple Crown quietly because nobody really gave a shit for whatever reason. But if he was a marquee name, if he was in a bigger market, that's all we would have heard. So I feel bad for the dude that he didn't get the pomp and circumstance that I feel like he deserves.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, I think it's the way the season worked out for them, because I remember when Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown. That was a huge thing, not even just in Detroit, but in the whole country. And it was huge. And I don't think, but that was also a Tigers team that was a winning team all the time. And I know they're winning right now, but that's just within the last couple months that they've
Right.
gotten hot and got to this point. So there wasn't a lot of attention on them throughout the year. And I think that's the difference. Back then when Cabrera did it with the Tigers, there was a ton of, they were always one of the best teams in the MLB. And that just draws a lot of attention to you right away. But this team, they were sellers at the trade deadline. This team wasn't supposed to do anything. And, lo and behold, they got to where they needed to be, and they just won their first series. And I think that plays a lot into why he's not getting the attention that he deserves, is because most of the season was just the throwaway season.
Right. That's a good point. Very good point. Um, real quick, I want to pull this graphic back up and look and kind of preview or look at the National League side of things here, real quick, in terms of the playoffs. The Mets with a 1 game lead over the Brewers right now. The San Diego Padres have a 1 game lead over the Atlanta Braves. Um, I maintain that the National League is the Los Angeles Dodgers league to lose. But make
Yeah.
no mistake about it. New York is playing fantastic baseball. Milwaukee is always dangerous. I feel like the sleeper of this bracket would be the Padres. Um, Unfortunately for them, I don't think they're really going to have, if they were to get past um, Atlanta, I don't know if they would be able to build up that momentum that they would need to take down the Dodgers, because my God in heaven, the the Los Angeles Dodgers are not to be messed with. Like, and they know that.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, Bryce Harper, I would like to see. At this point, I feel like there's any other team in the National League I would be okay with in the World Series other than the Dodgers. Like, I'm tired of hearing about the Dodgers. I know they're great. I know they're great, but I'm sick of them. I'm sick,
They're built to be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's it, and
They're
they
they're
have the
they're built to
means
be
to do
great.
that.
It's Yeah. No, it's a large market team. They got the money to spend, and they got one hell of a team. They're going to be a tough team to beat, and it's the team you want to say. It's the same thing with a lot of us on the American League side to want to see the Yankees go down. It's another large
Yeah,
market team that always seems to be in the mix of it every year. It's a team that you hate. That's the Dodgers on the other side. All of the small market fan base hate to see the large markets always just take off and win all the time, because it always seems to be them always leading the way constantly over and over and over again. It's because they got the money to do it, where a
yeah,
lot of the smaller markets don't. But obviously, the Tigers are proving this year that you don't need money to do it. Let's ship off a lot of your veterans and even your number two pitcher, and let's go out there and get into the playoffs and win our first series. It's amazing. It's exciting. It's
yeah.
it's it's Moneyball.
It really
Yeah,
is, and we
yeah,
talked about this last week, or last week or the week before last. We made mention of that. This is exactly what they're doing, and this is a real life movie playing out. And
yep,
we sit back here and it's like I find my because I have been a lifelong Tigers fan. Like, baseball has always been my favorite sport. Take nothing away from football, but I've always been a baseball guy. The Tigers, there's so much sentimental attachment. I remember listening to games with my grandfather, listening to Ernie Harwell on the radio. Like, these are some of my greatest memories as a kid. You know what I mean? It's that deep. You know, and to be in this position again, I find myself like I'm excited, but I'm also kind of low key anxious because, you know, the last time they went to the World Series, they completely shit the bed. And that was a team that was built to win. We had Cabrera, we had Prince, we had Victor Martinez. We had, and the pitching staff was incredible. It was our World Series to win, and we got swept. Game 4 was
Yeah.
in Detroit. I was like, man, and it's taken this long to finally get that excitement again. But like, I don't want to get too excited because if the bottom falls out, that disappointment's going to hurt all over again.
Well, it'll hurt, but it's not going to hurt like it did the last time. The last time, Tigers were built to win it all. You know,
Hmm.
lay it out. They had superstars all over that field for multiple years in a row, but they were built to win it all, and they just couldn't get it done. This year, this is out of it's out of left field. You know, like nobody expected the Tigers to get to the point that they are. So if they lost in the next series, what a fucking hell of a season, what a hell of a ride is the way that I look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and just put my whole heart into it and go, the Tigers got to win it this year, because 2 months ago they weren't even in the discussion of even being in the playoffs, and they're here. So this is something, even if they don't get there, this is something to build off of. You know, figure out what you lacked, and right now they're not lacking anything, but you know, maybe besides a few starting pitchers, because they only have one true starter on the team right now, and kind of go from there and build from there. So I don't think my heart would be broken because they weren't supposed to be here. So this is just everything from here on out is just pure excitement. You
Right.
know, like let's see what we can do here this year. And who knows, with the way that they're playing, there's no doubt in my mind that they could go on to win it all. But if they didn't, I'm not going to be sad. You know, let's build off of this. And this makes a point that was brought up on one of our posts about what was the bigger year for Detroit sports. And I know we'll get into football later, but was it the Tigers from this year or the Lions from last year? I'd honestly say it was the Tigers from this year because they weren't supposed to be there. The
Hmm.
Lions from last year, you know, they went on, they won the playoff game, they went on to the NFC Championship game, but they were been building the Lions for so many years now since Dan Campbell took over that we expected to get into the playoffs last year. We expected to win the North last year. Did we expect to exactly go to the NFC Championship game? You know, no. Still thought that maybe it was a year or two out before possibly getting into a Super Bowl. You know, and they were just, you know, one half of football away from making it there before they gave up that lead. But the Tigers, you know, this is fairy tale. This is literally, like you said earlier, this thing that movies are made of. And honest to God, there probably will be a movie made about their season here, because if they made a movie about Moneyball, the Tigers, I think, have advanced farther. You know, it's this team came out of absolutely nowhere, and I wouldn't doubt if there's not a ton of documentaries on them or movies alone. So I'm going to say the Tigers this year. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, because I've already seen kind of what a preview would look like in terms of a full blown documentary. These creators on TikTok do some amazing work.
Oh yeah,
And
oh yeah.
I watched one. This kid put together this highlight reel of the entire season leading up to the A or the wild card. Bro, I had fucking tears in my eyes. I'm not bullshitting. Like the way he produced this, he had the right music in the background. I don't know who narrated it, but it wasn't AI. I can tell you that. Like this was somebody's legitimate voice, and just the way they captured the essence of the season. And I was just sitting there. It's my team,
Oh yeah, they get you.
man.
The stuff that they do on there is fucking amazing. Like I'll watch them, and they'll always have the hype videos for the Lions and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like you'll be watching and you're going, "Fuck yeah, I'm getting goosebumps." You know what I mean? Like it's building up. Like fuck yeah, let's roll. You know, like this fucking Detroit Lions time. Let's roll. And
Yeah.
now I've been seeing them with the Tigers too. You know, and it's just whoever's doing that shit is just they're really good at what they do. And it's enough to get tears, goosebumps built up, just get you into it, get you excited. And I respect everybody who can put those things together, because there's a lot of them, and
Yeah.
they all do a damn good job doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, watching that stuff has more than motivated me to try different things with this show. Not just, in a hype video or something like that, but you know how the algorithm goes. It will take me down a rabbit hole and I start seeing how different things are presented. And I told you, I texted you yesterday. I'm like, hey, I'm fucking around with some new graphics, trying to figure out different ways to incorporate what I have to work with here to make your show stand out and to give it a more professional feel to it. The graphics, the overlays, all this stuff. And it's been a lot of fun. And like I go on TikTok and I see what other people are doing. I'm like, oh, I can do something like that. Then it's cool, and I
Yeah.
too have a great appreciation and respect for content creators that are putting stuff like that out there. So, anything else you want to talk about in terms of the MLB playoffs before we move to the NFL?
MLB. Hold on, I want to see what the Casey's up 2-1 right now. Um, so yeah, if they can hold this out, it's not going to be Baltimore in a playoff. It's going to be KC.
What inning are they
Because
in?
they are in the bottom of the seventh.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So we'll keep rolling here because I think they're one up in the series, aren't they? Yeah, KC leads
Yes.
1-0 because KC could wrap this up tonight. Um, so I'll keep an eye on that because we'll probably still be recording, I imagine, by the end of this. Maybe with as fast as
Theoretically,
baseball
yeah.
go with the pitch counters and stuff. But one thing I gotta say is one hell of a fucking game today by the Tigers. I spent the last half of my day at work was glued to either my phone or when the customers are gone to the TV out front. We're all screaming, jumping around, high fiving each other. Exciting ass game. It's good to see not only the Lions doing good in this state right now, the Tigers are doing good. Red Wings look like they're going to be pretty good this year. Pistons are trash right now. We can't help that. The NBA is stupid. There's just super teams now, and that's kind of like the MLB kind of goes that way with the Dodgers. And it's exciting to see a team like the Tigers that's so young. I have so much respect for those guys. They're making baseball fun again. Um, I'm loving it. I can't wait for this next series and just go Tigers. Like you guys got it.
Yeah.
It's time.
It makes it fun for our job here, because we have to pay attention to what's going on so that we can come in here and do this and report on it and give our opinions and things of this nature. And it's a lot. You said it perfectly. It's a lot of fun right now to be a baseball fan, especially here in the state of Michigan. And along those lines, let's make the transition over to the National Football League, where our other big cat team is garnering a lot of headlines from week 4. Before we get to that, though, allow me to do a quick scoreboard recap over the games that we saw in week 4. We saw the Dallas Cowboys beat the Giants 20-15. The Bengals took down the Panthers, no surprise, 34-24. The Saints lost to the Falcons 26-24. Texans beat the Jaguars 24-20. Broncos over the Jets 10-9. That was a barn burner. Vikings over the
Yeah.
Packers
Wait till I go over
31-21.
the stats from that. It's fun.
I can't wait to hear that. The Colts over the Steelers. That one kind of surprised me, 27-24. The Bears took down the Rams 24-18. Tampa Bay beat the Eagles 33-16. 49ers over the Patriots 30-13. Washington beat the Arizona Cardinals 42-14. The Kansas City Chiefs over the Los Angeles Chargers 17-10. The Raiders took down the Browns 20-16. Ravens beat the Bills 35-10. Titans destroyed the Dolphins. Again, no surprise, 31-12.
Yeah, no surprise there. Yeah.
Lions, of course, closed out the week with a big 42-29 win over the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Um, So that was the scoreboard for the week for the NFL. So what stand?
Week
I mean,
4.
obviously Kansas City stands out. Obviously the Tigers stand out. What else stands out here?
All right, so the first thing I want to do this week, because we almost missed it last week, I want to go over the damn Lions game.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of putting them off till last, let's just get, I mean, we just got off the Tigers. Detroit sports is hot right now. Let's get right to the Lions. Funnest game to watch of the week, in my opinion. Like Monday night prime time, they showed out in the all black with those really sweet fucking metallic blue helmets. Like those uniforms are sharp. Like
Love them.
they just look sharp. But that game was the funnest game I've watched in a long time, and it was also the game that pissed me off the most in a long time, because I don't know if it was the same ref crew from the Dallas game last year. There were some calls on that field where I was debating whether or not they didn't want the Lions to win this game. I know there was a lot of legit penalties that were called, a lot of legit pass interferences. Terry on Arnold really needs to stop grabbing people. They need to put some mittens on that boy to slow him down, because he's just grabbing everybody. But overall, the Lions took it out of the ref's hands, put 42 on the board. Goff went for 292, 2 touchdowns, one of them being receiving. I don't know. Did you watch that game?
I was able to see the last half of it because it
Oh,
was, it was prime time. I worked Sunday night or Monday night, um, so I was able to see the majority of the second half of that game. Yes, I am
yeah, that
listening. I'm trying to figure out what's happening with the Facebook live stream because I just saw the notification, but I am listening
yeah,
to you.
Amy just texted me about that. Yeah, Lions. Golf went for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them being a receiving touchdown from Amon-Ra St. Brown, who threw his first NFL touchdown. Goff got his first receiving touchdown in the league. What an exciting play! Like just the fake jet sweep to Goff in the end zone. Boom. Gibbs went for 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know Montgomery went for, I didn't write down how many yards he went for. I don't know why I didn't do that. But he had some incredible plays straight up the field. Thought it was going to be only for a couple yards, just trucked one guy, ran for like another 17. Like the game was just exciting. They just took control of that game. It was just back and forth. Every time the Lions would score, the Seahawks would come back, especially in the second half. They kind of shut them down in the first half. Second half, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Seahawks came down, scored. Lions come right back, first play, 70-yard touchdown to JMO. That game was the game of the week, in my opinion. The funnest game I've watched in a long time. The Lions look spectacular. Goff went 18 for 18, threw a perfect game. Uh, you couldn't ask for anything better out of a team. Like they just showed that is the NFC champs from last year. That is the team that could go on to the Super Bowl this year. They just keep playing like that. Like I had an amazingly fun time watching that game. I've never screamed so loud. I've never been so pissed off at the refs. Like it was just like so much fun. So much fun. Now we're off of that game. Let's go to. I didn't watch a lot of games this week. I think I only watched maybe 5 of them. I spent a lot of time. Opening day for archery in Michigan here was Tuesday, so Sunday, the majority of the day, I was out in the woods doing a little small game hunting and scouting for my setup on for yesterday. I mean, we record on Wednesdays. So I watched the Chiefs, the Chargers. Chiefs, it was nice to see they got Kelsey involved. Kelsey went for 89 yards. They kind of had to. Mahomes went for 245, 1 touchdown. They held out against the Chargers. Defense still looked great. Rashee Rice took a pretty bad shot to the knee from Patrick Mahomes that just probably put him out. Did you see
I saw the
the
highlights of that.
video of that?
Yeah,
Oh Jesus!
yeah.
Like I feel for him, and the fact that it was Patrick Mahomes that did it, like he doesn't do that intentionally. He's trying to he's trying to be a defender there and stop the ball from coming down. He just made contact with the wrong player. I don't know how that happened, but Chiefs are in a little bit of trouble right now. Their number 1 and 2 receiver are now on the IR. Um, I don't think Rashee Rice is coming back this season. After watching his knee go completely backwards, it would take a miracle to get his ass back this season.
Yeah.
So unless they trade for somebody like here real soon or try to pick somebody up, I know Devonte Adams is on the market right now. Been seeing a lot of stuff that LA or Las Vegas is ready to trade him. He wants out. I don't see him coming to the Chiefs. That would be a divisional. Nobody trades in their own division. It'd be a dumb move. But if they
Right.
don't pick up somebody soon, they don't really have anything for receivers. That doesn't really mean anything to them because last year they didn't really have much for receivers and they still won the Super Bowl. But their number 1 running back is still hurt. But Kareem Hunt's back, got his first start this week, went for 69 yards, looked great. I think he's going to fill that Pacheco spot quite well. Um, Good game overall. Just Chiefs offense hasn't been as exciting as they normally are. They haven't been high powered. They're just kind of just pacing away at this and just making. I mean, they're winning, but it's not in normal Chiefs fashion.
So they're going. They've got, and we'll look just as a quick preview. They're on Monday Monday Night Football this coming week. They got the New
Yeah,
Orleans Saints that are coming in. We've talked about the Saints a little bit last week in terms of what a start they had, and then what happened in Week 3 and all that. As a Chiefs fan and having laid all that out, are you concerned about the Saints on Monday night?
yeah, I am because the Saints they've been rolling pretty good this year. I know they've taken a couple losses now, but they're they still they look like a tough team this year, and I think Kansas City's defense has been doing good enough to help them win games. Where I still think Kansas City could win this game, but it's going to be a tough matchup. And the fact that Chiefs don't really have any receivers right now is is scary as a Chiefs
Alarm.
fan. If they can keep Kelsey in the game, and he finally had a decent game, in week 4. It's only taken 4 weeks to get him really involved in the game. If they can get him involved, then it's not as scary because obviously he's always been one of their number 1 receivers on the field. You keep him involved. Hunt still keeps doing good. They're still down to 1 receiver really, who's a tight end, and 1 running back, and Mahomes. But it is Kansas City, and Mahomes can win games all on his own. So, but I'm still concerned. But I think they'll figure it out. They usually trade for a receiver by the trade deadline, anyways. I think it's gonna get moved up this year. I think they're gonna find somebody to trade for that's gonna come in and fill one of those spots. They still have a couple other decent receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster's still on the team. They need to get him more involved. He hasn't really been involved yet this year.
Haven't heard his
They
name
start getting
hardly at
some.
all.
Yeah, he hasn't been doing much. Everything's been going to Rashee Rice this year, and he's not going to be there. So they're going to have to start getting some of these other guys involved, and if they do, I think they'll get right back on track. But I'm missing that fast paced, high end Chiefs offense that just hasn't showed up this year yet. So yeah, I mean, I am a little concerned.
Let me tell you who's got me a little concerned every time I see them is the goddamn Vikings.
Oh
I
yeah, they got. I'm gonna stop talking about them until they fucking lose, because they got me worried in the North. You
they
know.
do, man. They do. They they they're not playing, and that was on full display with the Packers here this last week, and it was another one, because we get that game because of where we are in the region. That's our
Yeah.
selected market or what have you for the broadcast. Because obviously, because the Lions were on Monday night. Um, that is the team right now that's got me a little concerned right now is the Minnesota Vikings, and uh even with the Bears picked up a win, much needed, but it was against the Carolina Panthers. Not a whole hell of a lot you can hang your hat on with that particular game.
Oh,
Take
that
nothing
should be
away
a
from it. A win's a win, but
yeah.
when you start matching it up later on in the season, um, I don't know. It feels like the Bears are going to be the ones winding up in the bottom of this division, but Minnesota is clearly the team to beat right now.
Oh, I think they're the team to beat in the whole NFL. We went into this week with certain number of undefeated teams. Seattle being one of them, but that was Seattle's first like good matchup was against the Lions. They've had an easy schedule up until then, and they kind of proved that they really can't hang with the good teams yet. But the Minnesota's been beating everybody, good teams, bad teams. It doesn't matter who you put in front of them this year. They've been destroying them, and they beat Green Bay, and Jordan Love was back. I always thought Jordan Love was going to be, as long as he was out, they weren't going to be anything, but they kept winning even with them out. And they just beat up. I think I got stats. Darnold threw for 275, 3 touchdowns, only threw 1 interception. Jones ran for 93 yards, Jefferson 85 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, they put up complete offense. The defense looks good, held them back. I mean, Love went for 389 yards and 4 touchdowns, but it still wasn't enough to slow down the Vikings. Like they've been unstoppable. And I'm wondering if the Lions are going to be the team that has to slow them down a little bit because nobody else seems can do it. So I don't know. They got me worried, definitely.
I mean, as far as the NFC North is concerned, and just based on what I have seen up to this point, Detroit is the only team that's going to take them down.
Yeah.
It's and they've got to go into that game with the mindset of this. We won this thing last year. This is ours. Who is Minnesota? And
Yeah.
I mean, the if Goff can continue to play the way that he did Monday, um, he's going to be very difficult to beat because he's getting more confident. He's getting, he is getting very familiar, very set in what he has to do, and he reads the field immaculately when it comes down to it. There are times like we saw in week two, it's like, man, he just didn't seem like he had all the cylinders going, and we saw what happened when that's a thing. But we can also see what happens when all cylinders are firing, and so did the Seattle Seahawks. So yeah, the NFC North right now is Minnesota's. They're on top, right? But there's still a lot of football, and a lot of shit can happen between now and then. So
Well, yeah,
I'm
there's still a lot, and let's see how they're still doing after. If we're having this discussion in week 12 that they're still sitting on top of the division, then I'll really start worrying. But some teams start out hot and they start slowing down a little bit. It's you got to get hot at the right time, and sometimes getting hot early in the season isn't really that beneficial. Uh, so let's see where they are in another 4 or 5 weeks, and then make a total statement on it. But right now, they look really scary, and it's got me worried. But like we said coming into this thing from the very first episode, that the NFC North was the toughest division in football, and the Lions are right in the middle of it. And let's see if they can edge out and get back on top of it again. They have, like you said, as long as Goff keeps playing the way that he played, I mean, he was looking like he was last year, just almost playing perfect football. I think he went 9 or 10 games last year without a single interception. Going into this game on Monday night, he had more interceptions than touchdowns. I think it was 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions already this year.
mm-hmm.
And he came out this week and just threw a perfect game of football. I mean, 18 for 18. He keeps that up. They're healthy. They're gonna be unstoppable. They get back a few people. I know Frank Ragnow was out for that game, but they made it work. That line was still strong. They gave him lots of time to throw. They gave up one safety in the end zone, but I mean, overall, that line was stout. They were still able to run all over the thing, and I think that's their secret. I think when they come back off the bye too, they'll be facing Dallas, which I think has the worst run stop defense in the league right now. So going into the season, I looked at that game kind of scared. after a few weeks, I go, I think the Lions are going to eat up Dallas once they come back out of their bye. But we'll wait to see their first matchup with Minnesota and see how the Lions stack up to them. I think Lions can beat them for sure, as long as Goff plays the way they did. Defense keeps just clicking the way that they did and just keeps smashing the ball down their throats and just running it up the middle of the field because that's what they're good at.
You said something. You had some interesting statistics from the Broncos Jets game.
Yeah, I was looking up the statistics. Broncos 10 over the Jets, 9 yards. Rodgers threw for 225 yards that day. Bo Nix, leader of the Broncos. Can you guess? They won that game. How many yards do you think Bo Nix threw for that day? It blows my mind that they won this game.
100 and quarter.
60. 60 fucking yards. And they won
Really?
that game. Yeah. What the fuck? Like, you look at week 3. We were talking about Rodgers. Rodgers is back. Do we have to be worried about Rodgers? You know, like the Jets look like a complete team. Defense is just humming along. Jets look scary week 3. Week 4, come out there against the Broncos, lose to a team that their quarterback threw for 60 fucking yards. 60.
Wow. Not what we would call the game of the week per se.
No, not at all. Like, what the fuck? I didn't get a chance to watch that one, but when I was looking up the stats from them, I'm like, what, 60? And they won that? How the fuck?
Oh,
Broncos
my
are
goodness.
horrible, and they just beat the Jets. Jets need something to turn around. In fact, we were talking about Devontae Adams being available. I'd put money down right now saying that's where he's going to end up is with the Jets. Him and
Yeah.
Rodgers always had a thing in Green Bay. You know, they work really well together. I think Rodgers is going to go out and fight his ass off to try to get Adams on that team. And I think that's where he'll end up. But if they keep putting up performances like they did against Bo Nix and his whole 60 yards there the other day, you know, like, is it worth him going to that fucking team? Because at this point, he's going to want to win a championship, and he ain't going to do it with the Jets if they're losing to the Broncos, who are only throwing for 60 yards. Fucking blows my mind.
Yeah, you
Then
don't
you look
hear
at
that every
opposites.
day.
No, like 60. Like, I'm saying, like, yeah, losing quarterback threw for 125, 130, 60. Fuck. One play that Goff threw to JMO was 70 or 72 yards or some shit.
Yeah.
Goff had him beat in one play, 60. What the fuck? That's good quality football right there on TV. 10-9, winning team throws for 60 yards. That's what everybody tunes in for.
You know, we used to see
Fucking
that kind of game every time the Cleveland Cincinnati game. That used to be the general score. It just flip flopped as to which one lost. Oh my goodness, 60 yards. What's the update there, my good sir?
Still 2-1, bottom of the 8th.
Okay.
Casey's still up. So 2 outs, 1 on base for Baltimore. So we'll see. I think we'll still be on there.
If
Casey might move on right here.
I was just gonna say, if Kansas City wins this goddamn thing, it's gonna throw my whole prediction right out the window.
Yeah.
Everything is. I'm gonna have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's going through
fucking
Detroit
happens.
anyway.
Yeah. That's with me every week with football. Like, everything just gets thrown out because, like, last week, Jets are going to easily beat the Broncos. No, Knicks is going to go for 60 yards and beat the Jets. Let's go to another game that was exciting this week that I watched. I don't know if you got any highlights from it. Last week I was talking about how the Bills were finally going to get their first good test this year, kind of see what type of team the Bills are this year. And they kind of showed. Bills versus Ravens. Ravens 35, Bills 10. Lamar went for 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry ran for 199 yards, 1 touchdown. That guy was unstoppable that day. He was a damn wrecking machine. Like, that was a fun game to watch. Not if you're a Bills fan,
Right.
Because the Bills got ate up, but it kind of showed where the Bills stand. The Ravens are starting to look scary too, especially in the AFC. As a Chiefs fan, I always keep a close eye on the AFC. I know we already beat the Ravens this year, but the Ravens are really starting to come together. And since we've been saying this since the beginning of this show, that it's going to take till about week 4, 5, 6 to start to see what these teams are. And the Ravens really are looking like a complete team now. Henry is Derrick Henry. He does this every year. I mean, he's the leading rusher in the NFL right now. He's been for years. That was one hell of a pickup. I'm sure Dallas is kicking themselves in the ass for not spitting out the money and trying to get him, but it's Jerry Jones for you. You know, he had to save up all that money to sign Dak to a huge contract.
I was just going to say that.
You know, if I was in Dak's shoe, you know, you look at the good teams. You know, Brady did it for years. I know Patrick Mahomes has restructured his contract. A lot of these teams, even Jared Goff this year took a team friendly contract, you know, when he re-signed. As a quarterback, you got to look, I need pieces around me, you know, pieces that can help us win. I know it's all about the money too, but these guys are making more money than, you know, you or I'll ever make in our lives. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like sometimes if you want to win, you need a team friendly contract. And you need to come out and say that because I think if Dallas could have got Henry, that team would be different. I mean, completely different. I'm sorry, I'm starting to stumble on my words, but the team would be completely different. They just went back and got Ezekiel Elliott again. But with Henry, the team would be dangerous. You know, Jerry Jones needs to. We had this discussion last week. You know, I can't keep going on about Dallas and how bad Jerry Jones keeps fucking up that franchise. I'm not a Dallas fan either, but I know people who are, and I feel bad for him because that team's going to be shit until that guy's gone.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well,
Other than that, the only I'm trying to think if there's any other game. I think that's all the games that I actually got a chance to watch this past week. Like I said, it was a rough week getting ready for hunting season here, doing small game scouting. Just so I can get out there on Tuesday and sit through a fucking monsoon and like they said 10-mile-an-hour winds yesterday is what they were calling for. I'm like, all right, great. 10-mile-an-hour winds and a slight chance of rain. I was in a fucking monsoon like fit. I felt like I was on a roller coaster. Like I was in that tree all over the fucking place. Like scary as shit. And maybe I should have just stayed my happy ass home. But how can you get a deer if you stay home? Oh, I didn't get a deer anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. But yeah.
well, let's go ahead and take a quick look at what's on tap for week 5 here in the National Football League. Um, it's going to start on Thursday night football when the Atlanta Falcons take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then the Sunday morning game, the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings are going to play. Then the early games on Sunday afternoon, the Browns and the Commanders. We will also see the Indianapolis Colts take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Buffalo Bills will be traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. The Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots are going to go one on one, as it were. The Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Carolina Panthers are going to be traveling to Chi-Town to take on the Bears.
Barn burner right there.
Yeah, the late games, the Raiders and the Broncos. Can't wait for that one. The Cardinals and the 49ers. That one is going to be a good game, I feel like. The Packers and the Rams. Another good game on tap. And the New York Giants will be in Seattle to take on the Seahawks. The Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night. And then Monday night, the finale will be the Saints and the Chiefs, as we have documented here a little bit ago. Aside from the Chiefs game on Monday night, the Lions are on the bye week. What's the other games here that you're looking at in week 5?
Well, I want to see the Minnesota and the Vikings. Or not, I said the Minnesota and the Vikings. Minnesota and the Jets.
Yeah.
Fuck is wrong with me? Sorry, I got
It's been a
baseball in
long
my
day,
mind. I'm
bro. I
still all worked
understand.
up from that Tigers game earlier. Oh, it's been long. I'm tired as hell. Minnesota, the Viking versus the Jets. That's one of the games. Still waiting for somebody to slow down the Vikings. If, and this is a huge if, after losing to a quarterback, threw for 60 yards. If Aaron Rodgers can play at the level that he was in week 3 and that team can look, I think they can beat Minnesota. But if we get the same quality of play that we got out of week 4 from them guys, it should be a pretty easy game for Minnesota. Um, I'm kind of interested in seeing that because I'm going to be watching every one of their games, just waiting for them to get their asses kicked so I can start cheering. Finally, the Lions can get that little window to sneak back into leading the North. And I'm really interested in the Carolina Chicago game. That should be super exciting. Not really. I won't even turn that one.
Oh heavens! Listen,
The
I am I adopted the Carolina Panthers when they came into the league in '95. Like they're my
Well, have you
secondary team.
disowned them by now?
I have not, Tim, and I know I should. But once every 10 years, they give me a glimpse of hope, and they'll make a deep run. Like they went to the Super Bowl a couple times. They ain't won the goddamn thing, but
Well, they did. They
they
had
made it.
Cam Newton. They had CMC. They had some good players over the years, but right now they are in the dumpster.
Hmm.
You know,
I'm
what
sorry to
can you
say
say?
that
Could they
that's
turn
true.
it around? Yeah, like they're in the complete dumpster. And they're going against, you know, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now, and Caleb Williams this week. No, that's not an argument at all. He's. I mean, Caleb Williams is one of those. He's starting to look better. He's still making mistakes. Starting to see a little glimpse of hope from him. You know what I mean? Let's see. It's not going to be this year. It's probably going to start. He's going to start looking a little bit better next year. And then Chicago's going to trade him away and draft another first round, quarterback and do this whole dance all over again. This is what they do. But he could go on kind of like Justin Fields has gone to the Steelers, and he looks pretty good over there. His best time is going to be on his next team, I think, because he's not going to last but 2, maybe 3 seasons in Chicago before they off him to get another first rounder. I'm trying to think. The Rams kind of showed this week the team that they are without any receivers. They beat 49ers the week before, but this week they lost again. I'd like to see. I mean, I don't know how exciting that game's going to be. Uh, the Chiefs game, obviously, I'll watch. The 49ers game, got to keep an eye on that one because they're always in the top of the the conference. So those are probably the games that I'll watch. Without the Lions playing this week, I'm going to squeeze in a few games here or there, but there's not as much excitement rolling this week, especially because my Kansas City Chiefs are a little beat up right now. So hopefully they can come out and win, but they need some work. They need some receivers. Can you catch a ball?
I'm capable of it. Yeah, every once in a while.
All right, we might have to send your number to Andy Reid over there.
Listen, I look good in red and yellow. I don't mind telling you.
Yeah,
Been wearing it my whole life.
yeah.
uh, be that as it may, and that actually kind of ties in low key of what we're going to wrap up this week with once we get there here in a moment. But when is Kansas City's bye week? Do you know
Week
offhand?
6.
Okay,
It's
so
week 6. Yep.
okay.
Yeah, they got next week off. So they'll have a nice little 2-week break, hopefully to try out a bunch of receivers. So I'll send Andy Reid your number. Maybe you can make a trip to Missouri there and do a little tryout because they need fucking help. For God's sakes, and Mahomes, stop taking out your number one receiver. What the fuck?
Listen, I will only agree to this if we can live stream while I'm on the field in real time with you. That's the only way I'll agree with this. We'll put a little camera in my helmet.
100%.
Like we'll figure it out. There's technology out there. We can make this happen. I feel like.
You know how fucking fun that would be, actually? Like, too bad we didn't have the power to make this shit happen, Jason. We need to get a little bit bigger. So please,
Listen, stay
people,
tuned.
follow our show. Listen.
Yeah, and along those lines,
we need more people to follow this shit because Jason needs to try out for the Kansas City Chiefs to become their number one receiver. Let's fucking make this happen.
Listen, anything I can do for you, pal, I will certainly explore every option. But it does start with that. For those who
just watch out for Mahomes. Yeah.
Those who are digging what we're doing.
Avoid Mahomes at all costs. If he comes your way, just fucking run away from him.
I do a pretty good leapfrog. I still have a pretty good leapfrog at this point, so I feel like I'm okay. Yeah, but for sure, easy, Pat. Calm the fuck down. Anyway, if you're digging what we're doing here on the podcast, if you watch us through Spotify or through the other RSS feeds, do us a favor if you would be so kind. Go to our Facebook page, hit that like button, and share it with your friends, and help spread the word of getting this show out because we want to provide you guys with an hour plus worth of sports and entertainment each and every week here, and that's what we are committed to do here on the PFC Entertainment Network. And that's kind of why we're live streaming on the PFC page and not the Sports Reel page, because we got to have a minimal number of likes for us to be able to live stream through our own page. So do us a solid, as the kids say, and hit that like button if you would be so kind. It only takes a couple seconds, so we would certainly appreciate that. Before we get into the final piece of business this week, Tim, what is the update on Kansas City and Baltimore?
It is still 2-1, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, one out
damn.
to go. Kansas City moves on. So,
well, unless something
gotta be keeping my eye on this for a second.
Yeah, go. Yeah, you do that, and if anything major happens, you break in, and I'll take over this last piece of business here.
All right.
The sports world suffered. The sports world. Let me calm down. The sports world is mourning the loss of a couple of legends here in the last week. We will start by focusing on Dikembe Mutombo, one of the greatest, most recognized superstars of the National Basketball Association during his time as a player. Um, for as much awesome highlights that he accumulated during his career in the NBA, he's also being remembered just as fondly for his humanitarian work outside of the NBA. And that's what a lot of the testimonials and tributes that I had saw this week upon the news of his passing. Unfortunately, he passed away on September the 30th at age 58 after a battle with brain cancer. But even, the amount of tributes that came pouring in among, as the news broke of his passing, just really um, solidified just how beloved he was, not just in the sports world, but the world overall. Let me run down a couple of statistics here on Mutombo.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on before you get into that.
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals are moving on. They just won the game.
All right. Breaking news. The Kansas City Royals have a date with the New York Yankees in the American League Divisional Series. I did not see that coming, I'll be honest. But there it is. Breaking news.
No, you were just talking about Baltimore. Yep.
Yeah, I figured it was
back to Mutombo.
Yeah. All right. He was drafted in 1991, first round, fourth overall pick by the Denver Nuggets. Um, Obviously, he was a center. He also played for the Atlanta Hawks, the Philadelphia 76ers, New Jersey Nets, New York Knicks, and the Houston Rockets. Eight-time NBA All-Star, All NBA second team, two-time All NBA third team, four-time Defensive Player of the Year in 95, 97, 98, 2001. NBA All Rookie First Team. He had his number 55 retired by both the Hawks and the Nuggets. That's rare air to have your number retired by multiple teams. So just a testament, Tim, to what Mutombo meant to the NBA. A legend in every sense of the word, on the court, off the court, here in America and around the world. Um, what was your initial thought on when you heard the passing of this legend?
Too damn young.
Yeah, for sure.
58. A lot of life. Good dude. Great NBA player. Just too young. It's a sad day for basketball.
Hmm. Yeah, he one of the all-time greats, that's for sure. And when you talk about all-time greats, and you want to talk about athletes that are as polarizing as they come, well, we were also met with the unfortunate news of the passing of Pete Rose. And as you know, he also passed away on September the 30th at the age of 83. Pete Rose is one of the more polarizing names in all of Major League Baseball. Let me run down some of his stats real quick, and we'll get into him a little bit. He made his debut in 1963 for the Cincinnati Reds. He had a 303 batting average, 4,256 hits, 160 home runs, 1,314 RBIs. As a manager, he had a record of 412 wins to 373 losses. As a player, he played for the Reds, the Phillies, the Expos, and finished out with the Reds and was also their manager. 17-time All Star, three-time World Series champion in 75, 76, and 80. National League MVP in 73, World Series MVP in 75, National League Rookie of the Year, Roberto Clemente Award in 76, three-time batting champion. The Reds retired his number 14. He is in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. His MLB records are the 4,256 hits, 3,215 singles, 3,562 games played, 14,053 career at bats. Um, Pete Rose, brother. Um, People are going to have an opinion one way or the other on this guy. You either liked him and celebrated him, or you condemned him. Obviously, the controversy with the lifetime ban from Major League Baseball, with the betting controversy and all this other stuff, had kept him out of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. That many people, and I am included in one of them, believe that he should have been inducted. But thank God, during the course of his time here, he was inducted into the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame, as I just mentioned. But Tim, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the fact that Pete Rose is also a Hall of Famer for World Wrestling Entertainment, and
Damn right he is.
his multiple appearances at WrestleMania, and his rivalry with Kane.
Oh yeah, he took a tombstone like no other. That man was. Anytime you knew Pete Rose was showing up, he was taking a tombstone.
Yeah.
Um, Great guy. It's sad. It's sad to see the loss of him. I mean, 83. He lived a good life. You know what I mean. But the shitty thing is they never just broke down and just let him into the Hall of Fame. And I'll put money on it that now that he is gone, he's going to be inducted in this next round. Now that his lifetime ban is over. Obviously, it's sad that he passed, but I they're gonna put him in now, and it's shitty that they didn't do when he was alive. I mean, I still think at 83 years old, he still has the all time hits leader record. Nobody's beat that. He should have been in a long time ago. I don't care what he was. So he was sports betting. There was never any evidence that he ever betted against his team while he was managing. So it's not like he was throwing games.
Right.
Um, I don't know. This whole they can't bet on sports is fucking stupid. I know we went through it last year with the Lions when JMO got suspended for betting on sports, and he wasn't even betting on football. He was betting on golf. Like why does this shit matter with sports betting as prevalent as it is today? It's legal in the majority of the country now. Give these guys a fucking break. I can understand if they're betting against their team and they're trying to throw the game. That's what they're trying to avoid with all this, but nobody's doing that. You
Right.
got JMO betting on golf. You had Pete Rose betting that his team was going to win. If he was betting that his team was going to lose and then he was finding ways to throw the game, I could understand it. But fuck, why give him a lifetime ban? I mean, the guy was an incredible ball player, one of the greatest of all time. And you're going to hold him out even into his 70s and 80s, long after his career was over. Give it up. The majority of fans were calling for him to be in it anyways. Like nobody cares. Like
Right.
get over the shit. It's sad to see one of the all-time greats go, whether it was in baseball or whether it was taking a tombstone. Pete Rose is amazing. So much fun to watch. Just an absolutely good dude from everything I ever heard about him or read about him. He should have been a long time ago. It's a sad day. Sad day for sports.
I agree. And, and I realize that there is a contingent of sports fans that have the polar opposite opinion of that. They look at this man as the devil. Um, I,
I don't get it.
yeah, I think that's a little extreme. I think maybe you should calm the fuck down a little bit. But at the same time, those who imposed this ban on him and kept him out of getting his moment in the spotlight that he earned, that he deserved. I hope you motherfuckers are happy. I hope I hope on September 30th you guys all popped your celebratory bottle of champagne and you guys had a real good chuckle at it. Just know that in the grand scheme of things, you suck at life and you should probably just
Yeah.
quit. God
I mean,
damn.
I get it in its day. Gambling was kind of a taboo thing. There was only a certain number of places in the country you could even gamble. Um, but now, this day and age, even in the last 5-10 years, like shit, they could have put him in easily. Sports betting is so prevalent now. Like I don't understand why they didn't get over it. You're talking fuck, like it's been long overdue. Like I would be completely ashamed of the MLB if they do not put him in now. He had a
Right.
lifetime ban. His life is over. Like
Yep.
let's finally, not that it does anything for him now, but for baseball itself, he deserved to be in there more than a lot of the other people that have been put in there before him. And it's time. Let's get over this shit. Let's put him in there. Let's make sure Pete Rose's name is remembered forever.
Um, I totally agree with you, my friend. I'm just looking. I just got a. If you could stand by for just 1 minute, this just came
I gotcha.
across my radar. Um, all right.
Silence.
This is not what I thought it was, but it appears that All Elite Wrestling has finalized their new TV rights deal, um, 5 year deal
Who they
with
5-year
Warner
deal with who?
Brothers, Warner Brothers
Oh, okay.
Discovery. Um,
I'm surprised at that. I know this isn't technically a wrestling show, but I know they have not been drawing.
yeah, right,
Like I've
yeah.
been,
I what popped up was the Mets and Milwaukee game had started. and I wanted to see if there was a score on that at that point. And then the AEW thing popped up. We're going to talk more about that this Friday on ONTV for the Fatal Four Way. You can start. It starts at 6 o'clock, and you'll be able to watch that live as it happens. What's up?
1-1 right now.
Oh, okay.
It's 1-1 Milwaukee, bottom of the first. So
All right.
I just flicked it on.
Well, stay tuned for any late breaking news and developments here on the Facebook page, and we will stay abreast of the situation both here in the MLB with the playoffs, any news from anything, because if it makes headlines, it's fair game here on the Sports Real podcast. I really like that tagline, by the way. It's so organic. Before we get out of here, Tim, anything else you want to throw out there this week?
Well, I would say go Lions, but damn it, they got a bye week, so we get to be bored and they get to rest up. Go Chiefs. Fucking Kelsey, just keep catching the ball because you need to get involved, and let's go fucking Tigers.
Yes,
let's go in there and take care of I don't even want to call them the Guardians. I'm going to call them the fucking Indians because that's who they are to me, and that's who they'll always will be. They suck. Let's go and whoop their asses. Let's go Tigers.
All right. With that, we appreciate everybody tuning in, whether it was on the live stream. We apologize for the technical hiccups, but I believe I had got it fixed at some point. But you will be able to go back onto Spotify tomorrow and see the replay of this as it drops in its regular time. Any questions, comments, feedback, anything of the sort, you can send us a direct message on the Sports Real Podcast Facebook page, clousetotheheart@gmail.com or pfcnetwork.net. And be sure to check out the online store, pfcstore.printify.me, for all of the latest merchandise for this show and all of our shows here on the Pure Free Creations Entertainment Network. For Tim Sheridan, I'm Jason Clouse. Go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next week right here on the Sports Real Podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network.